Hi guys, this is Jeremiah with StoneBlueAirlines, and on today's episode we're going to take a look at the Talon UAV. It's officially been built. It's been a couple months in the works, which I don't really know where all that time went, but we've got a lot of time into this aircraft. Some of it was on purpose, other parts of it were because we just had to fix some things. The build went generally pretty straightforward. My issue with the Talon UAV, one was, if you saw the unboxing, I had issues with the red paint and it flaking off. Well, that continued, and so I went ahead and pulled as much as I could off, and then we painted it silver, and then painting it silver, it pulled more paint off, and it just honestly became kind of a mess because it was shedding all the paint. So if you can pick one of these up, now this came from FPV Style. I don't know if they're going to continue with the red, but honestly, I think the red, although it looks cool, and I'd love if the paint had stayed on, if you can get it in just a base model, if they're not going to paint it, I think that might even be better, so you can go and paint it yourself. Now, this whole aircraft has got some really cool gear. You're probably wondering, why do we have an FPV camera facing out over the tail? Why do we have an FPV camera here? Maybe one here. We've got some cool gear in this aircraft. We've also got a couple different other companies that are helping us with this build out. Get FPV with the Pixum camera. We've got Best Hobby Mall with some updated Metal Gear servos. I've also got a nice guy, Adam RC, that's helping us with powering our GoPro for the flight. All right, so that's about all I've got. Let me go ahead and hand this plane over to Jason. Let him tell you a little bit about what's inside and how we've got all these cameras set up.
Hey, I'm Jason with StoneBlueAirlines. Today we're going to go over the inside of this bad boy. We got a Tornado by Cyclops, brought to us by Hobby Wireless. It's got a V-tail mixer running the V-tail on this thing. That's a pretty important aspect. If you're going to run a Tornado, they don't include the V-tail mixing. Chair for control, video aerial systems, providing the antennas on the video systems. Got a video switcher purchased from FPV, Get FPV. Got custom power boards, custom link boards. Yeah, this thing is set up to run, we're going to try to run about 12,000 milliamps of battery and see how far that can get us.
All right, so there we have it, the quick overview on the Talon, everything that we've got going on. We're ready to do, technically it's second maiden. We're gonna get it back in the air, but we've got brand new gear on it, so we need to do some testing before we get this bad boy set up for some long range flying. So we're out doing some testing here on the Talon. Jason is at the controls. We are also testing out the Tornado version 1.03, hoping 1.04, because this one still seems to have issues. So the Talon, actually now flying, is doing quite well. Seem to have sorted out CG issues as well on it. All right, so here we are, we're testing again. Tornado, we're still having issues with this. Not seeing in any of the settings where we can change the altitude for return to home on this system. So the Talon is flying good. We're finding the CG's just a hair behind where they're calling for it, not by much, right? Wouldn't you say, Jason? Maybe like not even a quarter inch.
Half an inch.
Yeah, so somewhere in there, we're trying to get the thing dialed in. When she's in the air, she really actually flies quite well. She definitely likes to cruise slow, or can cruise slow, I should say. And we're gonna take it up again and see if we can get PA mode working here on the Tornado. So, see what happens.
Straight above us pretty much.
So Jason, are you still flying an aircraft?
Yeah, and this is stupid to be doing stuff like this.
Don't do this. All right, looks like RTH is working. Officially, we had to change, a setting on the ailerons because it was reversed. It wanted to crash the plane. Now RTH is working, yeah. PA mode made some little tweaks, so that's working, and we'll need to dial it in just a little bit more, but the plane seems to be working, and throttle is actually being controlled on the return to home setting.
Boy, it's stable in the air though.
All right, so we're gonna fly the Talon again here today. We are gonna attempt, hopefully, for a long-range flight if everything works well. Just a bit of a beast to get off the ground, so we're gonna have to hand launch it. Don't really like the design of the one front wheel and the little skid tail wheel. That's probably the worst part of this aircraft. It had actually 2 good wheels. Probably could actually roll, but it's just too much friction. The front wheel's kind of goofy, and we gotta hand launch this thing. So we'll see how this goes. Mark, are you intimidated?
Absolutely not. If it goes in the ground, it goes in the ground. He doesn't want to take off with the wheels.
All right, so here we are. We're doing the final wrap up on the XUAV Talon. We've had a number of flights on it, and we attempted some long range stuff. I wouldn't say it was the Talon's fault. We've definitely got a few issues with the Talon. A couple, all right. It's a cool aircraft. The wings are great, nice EPO. The tail section's nice EPO. The body felt extremely cheap. The paint flaked off. And
we had to sand it down and repaint it.
Too much work for this. Too much work for this. The fuselage, although it seems like it's got a ton of room, and yes it does, it's like a bus in the air, it's also somewhat difficult to get in and work on.
Yeah.
Because, right, Jason, when we had front camera mounted, and it was really hard to get on the inside.
It's hard to get your hand in there to press record or whatever you got going on in there. So.
Run an HD cam. Nothing, you know, the domes, nobody really likes the domes. They do work fine. I actually, with some of the footage and flying FPV through it with the flight cam, it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
that wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
The big thing, besides for the body and the paint issues, this broke. You had to kind of like reinforce and make it a 3-section. It's a nice concept, not well executed, I would say.
Right.
All right, the bottom.
The wheels.
The wheels and the tail
And
skid.
the lack of.
This wheel, we had nothing but issues with it, and anything but a gentle touchdown. I mean, the wheel it doesn't have anything to bite into. They should have done a separate wheel. I don't know, what was this, a boat design?
It kind of just hits the ground and stops.
And as you saw in the
doesn't roll.
footage, there's footage too from our trip. As you saw in the footage, the whole aircraft just spins itself around when it lands because it's got nothing to keep it level and straight. Once it hits the ground, it's got no tail wheel. These little side supports, they work fine. Really,
the wings are solid though. I mean, they are indestructible.
Laminate the wings, laminate the tail, and if you get one of these that's painted well, I would laminate the entire body.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd make it indestructible. It's got a lot of carrying capacity. We were able to run 12,000 milliamp. Due to some other stuff, not on the Talon's fault, we just were having trouble with some gear and our switchers and stuff. Since the
Tornado wasn't ready for release.
Tornado,
Not
yeah. And you know, that's a good point. Tornado in this system definitely still needs some work because the firmware, we had it working, then the next flight it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I know they're on what, maybe version 1.04 now, so we're going to test it again. We've got another platform that's coming up that I think is going to be better suited, have a little bit more space. I think out west, this would be a great aircraft. If you've got a place to launch it, you need to have a friend that can toss the plane, and if you don't really weigh it down, you definitely need a bigger motor. Found out the motor on here, due to some of the documentation, needed to be a 4-cell, and we were running everything 3-cell.
Yeah.
So
it's very anemic on 3-cell. So don't.
So
unless
even
you
with
unless you run a huge motor.
Yeah, I ran 9-gram servos throughout. I had to honestly replace most of the ready to fly stuff, so I would just buy the kit. I don't think the ready to fly is the benefit, the way to go either on these. I think if you live out west, you've got some space, somebody can toss the aircraft. I think it's a cool aircraft, and once it got in the air, it honestly flew really well, and it felt like a big aircraft.
Nice. Yeah.
Felt like a really big aircraft. It does have plenty of space to put cameras.
Yeah.
It's just not one, I think, for us here.
No.
We need some smaller aircraft. We need to be able to take off and land, or really just hand chuck it from a level surface, because we don't, although we have hills everywhere, it's hard to get a hill that...
it's kind of halfway between taking off from the ground and launching, and it's just not one or the other.
Yeah.
So it's awkward to launch.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
So it's funny, I'm kind of like 50-50. I'm like, I like the aircraft. I was really excited about it, and it's funny, I think my favorite part are just the wings. I really like the wings.
Yep.
And it can just carry a lot of gear. So guys, it's not an aircraft for everybody, and it's really not meant that way, but if you set it up right, and I think you're in the right area, I think this would be a fun aircraft to have some fun with for some long range. So guys, thanks for watching. Jason, thanks for the build, and we're going to start on another one. I think we've worked the kinks out and some of the stuff, and we'll be able to go for
It's definitely a learning experience.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So we've got some long range stuff coming up. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.